Inside Out has 5 emotions: joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. But what if I was to tell you that there was another emotion? One that has been hidden right under our noses this whole time. One that even has been in Riley's head since she was a baby. In today's video, I'm going to tell you about Riley's hidden 6th emotion and its impact it could have on Inside Out 2. The casual viewer will watch Inside Out and probably realize that 5 is a very small number for the number of emotions, considering the vast array of them that exist in real life. I mean, most of us experience a wide range of emotions daily, reflecting the complexity of our inner lives. For instance, in one day alone, I might feel excited, anxious, content, frustrated, hopeful, disappointed, curious, embarrassed, proud, nostalgic, and that's just naming a few. Limiting the portrayal to just 5 emotions might initially seem like an oversimplification of human emotional experience. However, it turns out there was a reason Pixar chose to go with just 5 emotions. This decision is grounded in psychological research, specifically the theory that there are a small set of basic emotions that form the foundation of all other emotional experiences. These core emotions are thought to be biologically hardwired and serve essential functions for survival and social interaction. While we may feel a broad spectrum of emotions, many of these are combinations or variations of the basic ones. Pixar not only simplifies the narrative for a younger audience, but also highlights how these core emotions interact to produce the complex emotional experiences we encounter daily. This approach allows the film to delve deeper into the roles and functions of each primary emotion, providing a clearer and more impactful exploration of how our minds work. But even with all of that info, one emotion is missing, because there are actually 6 universal emotions. But where is this 6th emotion? Pixar based their selection of emotions in Inside Out on the influential theory of basic emotions proposed by psychologist Paul Ekman. The origins of this theory can be traced back to Charles Darwin's work with the book The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. In this book, Darwin suggested that the facial expressions humans use to convey emotions are universal and not significantly influenced by cultural differences, into the universality of emotional expression. Dr. Paul Ekman further substantiated Darwin's theory through his extensive research with an indigenous tribe in New Guinea, which revealed that people from vastly different cultures exhibited consistent emotional expressions. These findings provided compelling evidence for the existence of universal emotions and laid the foundation for the theory of 6 basic emotions, which I will reveal in a second. To bolster the argument that these emotions are innate rather than learned, Ekman and other prominent psychologists studied individuals who were born blind and newborn babies, both groups incapable of learning facial expressions through visual observation, displayed the same basic emotional expressions as sighted people, suggesting that these responses are hardwired into the human brain. This innate capability indicates that emotional expressions are automatic responses rather than cautiously controlled behaviors. Additionally, research on primates has shown that they exhibit facial expressions and emotional responses similar to those of humans, which now just really makes me think of the new movie Planet of the Apes, because it's been on my mind since I watched it, and it's just kind of all like goes right with that. This similarity suggests a shared evolutionary origin in these expressions, further supporting the idea that basic emotions are deeply embedded in our biology and are not merely a product of cultural or social conditioning. They ended up concluding that the 6 core emotions shared were joy, sadness, anger, fear, disgust, and surprise. Surprise, you might be asking. I don't remember that emotion being in the first film, so why wasn't it? Surprise is a brief yet pivotal state that occurs before a person transitions into an emotional state such as happiness, sadness, embarrassment, fear, or anger. This emotion is a cognitive process in which an individual rapidly and subconsciously evaluates a situation to determine the appropriate emotional response. According to scientific research, surprise should have been a significant driver for the characters in Inside Out, yet it was notably absent from the film. Pixar's official explanation for omitting surprise is that fear already covers that emotion, which is just a bunch of honky-dory to me. The writers initially considered up to 27 different emotions, but ultimately settled on 5 to streamline the narrative and make it less complicated. Among the emotions that were cut were pride, trust, and surprise. Pete Docter, the lead on Inside Out, believed that surprise was too similar to fear to warrant its inclusion. However, from a scientific perspective, this decision is highly debatable, as surprise is recognized as a universal emotion with distinct characteristics outside of just fear. Surprise isn't just about jump scares. It is an emotion that can be either unpleasant, such as hearing bad news, or pleasant, like a surprise party, or even discovering a friend is expecting a baby. There actually has been numerous instances in my own life being startled in a haunted house to receiving an unexpected dessert on the house at a restaurant. These moments of kindness and sudden fright were all triggered by surprise first. Surprise is essentially a neutral emotion that serves as a precursor to other emotions, setting the stage for reactions like fear or joy depending on the context. It is an entity in its own right, crucial for preparing and transitioning into different emotional states. This all indicates that surprise plays a fundamental role in emotional processing, almost exclusively controlling the initial reaction before any other emotion can manifest, which ultimately kind of blows my mind that they excluded it from the first Inside Out movie. Given its fundamental importance, one might wonder why it wasn't in the first one. This leads me to consider where surprise might actually reside in the context of Inside Out. Despite its absence from the primary lineup of emotions, surprise could be conceptualized as a hidden or underlying force subtly influencing the interactions and transitions between the other emotions. It could be the unseen mechanism or scene that triggers the shift from one emotional state to another, ensuring that Riley responds appropriately to new and unexpected situations. This perspective not only acknowledges the scientific validity of surprise as a distinct emotion, but also suggests that it operates behind the scenes, playing a crucial role in the dynamic interplay of Riley's emotions. And all of that might actually sound very familiar, as it all points to one thing that we've all seen in the first movie. One thing that controls what happens with the emotions. Hint, hint. Okay, that's all the context clues I'm going to give you. Given how brief and simple surprise is, I don't think surprise is a part of the characters yet, but rather the console's default setting. The console is surprise. Surprise! I know this sounds crazy, but there's actually some real evidence to this. I mean, the purpose of surprise is to alert us to new things in response to something unexpected. This primary function of surprise aligns perfectly with one of the major purposes of the console in Inside Out, which is to present the emotions with new events occurring in Riley's external environment through the viewing screen. This screen acts as a window to the outside world, constantly updating the emotions on Riley's current experiences and challenges. Throughout the first movie, we observe how Riley encounters and reacts to various new situations as she grows older. From moving to a new city and starting at a new school to navigating friendships and family dynamics, Riley's experiences are ever evolving. The console, with its screen, plays a critical role in this process, highlighting the constant influx of new stimuli and challenges that Riley faces. It's through this screen that the emotions witness Riley's world and are prompted to respond accordingly. The console doesn't just show these events, it also provides the means for the emotions to influence Riley's reactions. I mean, it's literally a control console for a reason. Those buttons aren't just there to press randomly and to pass time. Each time Riley experiences something new, the console acts almost like an immediate alert system, much like how surprise functions in the human brain. This alert prompts the emotions to quickly evaluate the situation and decide on the best course of action, even though Joy likes to run the show herself, prompting Joy to take charge and ensure Riley approaches it with enthusiasm and confidence. This dynamic process is evident in numerous scenes throughout the movie. When Riley first sees her new house, the console rapidly shifts to show this unfamiliar environment, eliciting a mix of emotions from the characters: disgust at the dead mouse in the corner, fear of the creaky sounds, and joy at the potential for new adventures. Similarly, during her first day at the new school, the console provides a real-time display of the classroom in the new new faces, triggering nervousness and a sense of excitement as the emotions work together to navigate this daunting experience. The console's function goes beyond just displaying new events. It acts as a central hub, collaboratively decide Riley's responses. This collaborative decision-making process is akin to how surprise initiates a rapid subconscious assessment in the brain, preparing an individual to react appropriately. By embodying this mechanism, the console ensures that Riley's reactions are immediate and adaptive, enabling her to cope with a continuous stream of novel experiences. In essence, the console in Inside Out serves as the film's representation of the cognitive process initiated by surprise. It brings to light the new and unexpected aspects of Riley's life, providing the emotions with the critical information they need to steer her through her journey. This portrayal actually tells the significance of surprise as an underlying force, subtly guiding the character's interactions and responses to ensure Riley's successful adaptation to her ever-changing world. By doing so, the console not only reflects the scientific understanding of surprise, but also enriches the narrative by highlighting the complexity and fluidity of emotional responses in navigating life's unpredictability. But maybe, just maybe, that isn't enough evidence for you. We've been through a lot, but how about some more to prove this theory even further? If you take a look at the credits, specifically the scene when Riley meets Jordan, Jordan's first emotional reaction is one of surprise. However, when we enter his mind to see his emotions, none of them are really operating the console. Instead, Jordan remains stuck in a surprised expression, his mouth agape and eyes wide. While inside his head, his fear is not at the controls, but is instead crying and curled up in a corner. I think someone needs their mommy. This scene raises an interesting contradiction with Pixar's official explanation that fear encompasses surprise. If fear truly harbored surprise, then fear would have been at the console during Jordan's surprised reaction. Instead, Jordan's fear is clearly incapacitated, overwhelmed by the situation. This indicates that the initial surprise response is not being mediated by fear at all. If fear were at the controls, Jordan would likely have been terrified and crying in a corner just as his fear was doing. This discrepancy suggests that surprise is indeed a distinct state, one that temporarily paralyzes the individual before transitioning into another emotional response. It's like when you're pulling up a web page and it's loading and you're trying to figure out what's gonna pop up next. That's kind of how surprise works. If fear really controlled surprise every time it emerged, fear would effectively be the dominant emotion in most situations, leading the charge whenever something unexpected happened. This would imply that fear is a central emotion in managing reactions to new stimuli. However, this is not what we observe throughout the film. In Inside Out, each person's lead emotion varies. Riley's lead emotion is joy, which constantly takes the helm to ensure Riley's happiness and well-being. Her father's lead emotion is anger, which often dictates his responses to various situations. And her mother's lead emotion is sadness, guiding her interactions with a more contemplative and empathetic approach. If fear were indeed the primary emotion responsible for handling surprise, it would need to possess strong leadership skills and qualities, frequently taking over the console to manage new and unforeseen events, leading to fear being the lead emotion in every human. However, as demonstrated in Jordan's case, this is not the scenario we observe. Instead, the emotions within each character's head display a more nuanced and varied leadership dynamic. Fear is just one of many emotions, each taking the lead when their specific response is most appropriate. This diversity in leadership among the emotions suggests that while fear might occasionally overlap with surprise, it does not encompass it entirely. Surprise, therefore, seems to act independently, initiating an immediate neutral response to unexpected events before other emotions take over to guide the appropriate reaction. This independent operation underscores the importance of surprise as a distinct, fundamental emotional state that primes the individual for an emotional reaction afterwards. It highlights the complexity of our emotional systems, where different emotions work together but retain their unique roles and functions. Ultimately, this analysis reveals that Pixar's choice to exclude surprise as a separate character might overlook the fundamental role surprise plays in the cognitive and emotional processes. It emphasizes the need to recognize surprise as its own entity, essential for understanding and reacting to the world's unpredictability. This scene with Jordan, therefore, not only only adds depth to the narrative, but also challenges the simplified explanation that fear consists of surprise. Surprise is the default setting that activates when Riley or any other character sees something new. This then allows one of the other emotions to fill in afterwards under the right circumstances. That means allowing the correct one to handle the controls or situation. Joy, I'm talking to you. But what does this all mean for Inside Out 2? We know that Inside Out 2 will focus on puberty and anxiety, introducing 4 new emotions as part of Riley's coming of age story. As we grow up, we encounter a broader spectrum of emotions, which can feel like a roller coaster. Honestly, if there isn't a scene where the emotions literally ride a roller coaster inside Riley's head, it will be such a missed opportunity that I actually might cry. The new characters introduced in the trailer, anxiety, ennui, envy, and embarrassment, are portrayed as more sophisticated than the original joy, sadness, fear, disgust, and anger. These new emotions are crucial for guiding Riley through the crazy period of puberty, bringing a level of complexity and nuance necessary for navigating the challenges of growing up. In the trailer, anxiety stands out as a central figure among the new emotions, and it's clear that these sophisticated emotions are more attuned to the intricate dynamics of adolescence. They are depicted as more capable of handling the experiences that Riley will face during puberty, and we see the primary conflict in the film appears to arise when these new emotions begin to suppress or replace the original ones, adding layers of tension to the movie. And each time I see this in the trailer, I giggle at the sheer brilliance of the concept. The idea of suppressed emotions, literally in a little bottle tightly sealed, is not only clever, but is also a realistic portrayal of the psychological shifts that occur during puberty. So kudos to the Pixar team for capturing this so accurately. However, with these new additions, there seems to be a noticeable absence of a core universal emotion: surprise. In the context of a film exploring the chaos and unpredictability of puberty, the lack of surprise feels like a significant absence. Surprise plays a crucial role in our emotional lives, acting as a catalyst for a wide range of reactions and adaptations. It's literally engraved in our human nature. Its presence would be especially relevant during adolescence and growing up, a time characterized by unexpected changes and new experiences. So where does surprise fit into all of this? Given its importance in alerting us to new and unexpected events, surprise should logically be an integral part of Riley's emotional landscape during this period of her life. Puberty is filled with surprises, both pleasant and unpleasant, and having surprise as a character would underscore the unpredictable nature of this developmental stage. Imagine the moments when Riley encounters something completely new or startling, and surprise takes the helm, setting the stage for the next emotional reaction. I believe surprise should be brought to life physically in Inside Out 2. Not as another antagonist that Joy and the team have to deal with, but as this film's new Bing Bong. Now, calm down, because I know what you are thinking. Bing Bong is gone. Pixar has never reversed a character's death before. Nemo's mom never came back, Ellie died and Carl had to move on, and Doc Hudson died off screen, and we were just supposed to accept that. I'm still salty about that death, Pixar. I want to know exactly what happened to Doc Hudson. But my theory involves a different kind of connection when discussing Bing Bong's significance. Bing Bong, as you may recall, was a manifestation of Riley's innocence in Inside Out. He was Riley's 11-year-old imaginary friend who embodied her childhood memories and imagination. He also sacrificed himself to ensure Riley's happiness. Bing Bong's sacrifice symbolized several profound themes: the end of childhood, the onset of adulthood, and a pivotal moment of growth for both Joy and Riley. His role was to assist the core crew in returning to the command center, but on a deeper level, he taught Joy that happiness cannot be forced and that every emotion is necessary for a healthy, balanced life. Bing Bong, being an unbiased, non-emotion character, was able to impart this lesson precisely because he was neutral. Joy projected meaning onto him, deriving valuable insights from his actions. This neutrality is why Surprise could fill these significant shoes in the sequel. So far, Surprise has been conceptualized as a neutral entity, akin to a console that helps guide the other 5 emotions in deciding who should control each situation. However, with new emotions entering and potentially suppressing the core emotions, Surprise will need to step in and assume a more active physical role. As Riley's emotional landscape becomes more complex with the introduction of anxiety, ennui, envy, and embarrassment, the neutral guidance provided by Surprise will be crucial. Imagine Surprise taking on a more lifelike form, no longer just an unspeaking console, but a character with its own presence and agency. Surprise could serve as the mediator, a voice of reason amongst the chaos of conflicting emotions. This transformation would allow Surprise to engage directly with the new emotions, helping them realize that each one needs a turn to steer the ship. This role would be similar to Bing Bong's in the first movie, who provided essential support and lessons without directly being one of the core emotions. Surprise, by its very nature, can help predict which emotions should take the lead in each unique situation. Its innate wisdom and neutrality make it the perfect candidate to teach both the new and existing emotions about balance and cooperation. As Riley navigates the crazy waters of adolescence and puberty, Surprise could be the guiding force that helps her maintain emotional equilibrium, ensuring that no single emotion dominates to the detriment of her overall well-being. For example, during a particularly challenging or unexpected event, Surprise could step in to calm the other emotions, offering a clear-headed perspective that allows them to respond more effectively. This could lead to insightful scenes where Riley learns to embrace and integrate her complex emotional experiences, much like how Bing Bong's actions led to Joy's realization about the importance of sadness. As we saw in the first film, Joy struggled to allow other emotions to take control. She believed that happiness was essential above all else, not realizing that the other emotions were equally important. Joy's journey was about understanding that sadness, fear, disgust, and anger all played vital roles in Riley's emotional health. This was a hard lesson for Joy, who had to witness firsthand how each emotion contributed to Riley's well-being, especially during difficult times. Well, in Inside Out 2, as the new emotions come into Riley's head, we see Joy once again hogging the controls. She is hesitant to trust these new emotions that Riley is beginning to experience. And although I understand this, having someone move into your house that you don't understand and don't know, I probably wouldn't let them touch my TV remote either. But this makes me believe that Joy may never fully grasp the necessity of embracing new emotions, and a potential struggle to adapt to the evolving emotional landscape. This ongoing conflict suggests that another emotion is needed to help Joy understand when it is time for other emotions to take over the controls. Surprise often leads to a rapid reevaluation of a situation and emotional shifts. Imagine Surprise at the console acting as a switchboard operator, facilitating the seamless transition between emotions. For instance, if Riley encounters an unexpected event, such as a sudden change at school or an unplanned social interaction, Surprise would activate first. This initial reaction would then pave the way for the appropriate follow-up emotion. Joy if the event is pleasant, fear if it is alarming, or anger if it is frustrating. Surprise would act as the initial filter, assessing the situation and determining which emotion should take the lead. This role for Surprise would bring a much-needed structure to the world inside Riley's head. Just as human civilization relies on structure and rules to maintain order, the emotional landscape within Riley's mind would benefit from a clear mechanism for managing transitions between emotions. Without such structure, the internal world could become chaotic, with emotions vying for control and potentially leading to erratic or disproportionate responses to external stimuli. Surprise, as the neutral and objective evaluator, would be uniquely positioned to maintain balance and harmony among the emotions. By stepping in during unexpected situations, Surprise could help mediate conflicts. This would prevent any single emotion, particularly joy, from dominating and potentially stifling the expression of other essential emotions. Furthermore, this role would allow Surprise to bring peace and cooperation among the emotions. By facilitating smooth transitions and recognizing the validity of each emotional response, Surprise would help the emotions work together more effectively. This would not only enhance Riley's ability to cope with the complexities of adolescence and puberty and anything else that comes with that, but also foster a more cohesive and supportive internal environment. Surprise is the hidden sixth core universal emotion inside Riley's head, and I would even argue it is essential. But all of this is just a theory. Do you think Surprise will eventually make an appearance in the future of Inside Out movies? Let me know in the comments below. And also check out this video right here, because if you enjoyed this theory, you'll probably enjoy that one as well. And I will see you over there. Bye-bye.